Hello there, folks. Hey, this is Joe Wazoo here. Today's quick example is we've got a ASCII string tag that we might be getting from a PLC or from something else or just from a screen here, and we want to parse that into individual elements such that we can send each individual ASCII character over to something else. So in this simple database over here in data tags, I have two tags declared. I have one called my string. Notice the letters AB. That means it's going to be a string variable. And then I have another one right below there. It's X, means it's a numeric or integer. And that one is allocated as an array with 16 elements. So I got that set up there. Notice the color purple means that it's an array. If it was just blue, it'd be an internal one element. But anyway, so there's my ASCII string called my string. Also notice that I got it set up for 16 characters as well. And my goal is to take each one of those individual characters and put it into here, into this guy as a individual character. So over here on display page, all I'm doing here is I have a my string, which means from the right side, I pretty much drug this out here and simply made it a data entry box. I've done nothing else in here. If I double click on this just to show you, this is set up as my string. I got data entry turned on. I'm not doing anything else on any of the rest of these particular tabs across here. Nothing at all. All right. So what I want to do though is when I put something in here, I've got some programs over here, a couple of simple programs. One of them I have is called character to ASCII, and this is a function block type program. You can tell that because it's got an X here or whatever, but it's a function block. And what I have to do is I have to send this thing my string in a particular element of it. So if I click the edit button here, you can see that this program will return an integer type, and I'm going to send it a string. And internally here in this program, I'm using the argument 1 as the name. So here inside this program, I've declared a local variable here called temp. This only runs inside here, and I make temp equal to mid argument 1 0 1. So we might wonder, what does this mid mean and this argument? Well, argument 1 is the thing that's coming in, and what's this 0 1? Well, if I go down here to the lower right hand corner and go to System, expand the functions tree, and then if I go down to the strings category, there's a bunch of functions in here, but in this one, we're going to look at the mid. So let's right click on the mid just to see what the old help document shows us on this guy. So the mid function here returns a character from position within the string where 0 is the first position. So they kind of show you a nice example here, which is great. So that's how that works. Okay. So that's in there. All right. And then it returns it. Okay. Now there's another program here called parse my string. And this one, I have a local variable here called int j. And then I set up a for loop that'll go from j equals 0, j less than or equal to 16, and then this increments each time. So that's a for loop. And then within my brackets here, I am calling that function. Now notice here the word character, and then there's a bracket letter J. So what I did is over on the right side in data tags, I used the character here. By the way, since this is an array tag, if you right click on this guy, do toggle array, you can see there are the 16 elements. 0 through 15 is 16 elements. So the J is going to start out the first time as 0, next time will be 1, next time 2, and so forth. And then in here, I am calling that program, so I'm using that character string, and then I'm using a mid inside here, and then you see the my string here. So what I did is I actually put this tag right here. That's all I've done. I put that right there. And then I got comma J, which is the position, and I only want to return one character. So that's the program that's running here. Now that I made that little change, notice the yellow diamond. I'm going to hit the file. Okay, that's good. Back here at the programs, just for this test, I want to manually call that so you can see what happens when I manually call it. So I'm going to go over here to primitives. I'll go into core primitives just so you guys can see this. And all the way in the bottom, the middle column, second row from the bottom, is a bevel button. Click on the old bevel button one time and drag one of these guys out here like this. And I'll just make this guy a little bigger. And let me right click on this and I'll give it some text here. So the program is called parse my string. So I'm going to type here run parse my string just so you guys can see this. That's just some text. Of course, the black font with the red background is hard to read. I'll make that white. And we're going to make this a little bigger for us to see here, team. Yeah, maybe not quite that big. How about that? Maybe that a little bigger. Hold on, let me go a little bigger here. Yeah, we'll fix that. Okay, now on the Action tab, this is where I'm going to manually execute this. I'm going to show you how to do this automatic here in a little bit. But for manually testing, on the Action tab, I hit the pull down, choose User Defined. And of course, you get the three options: on pressed, on repeat, on released. I always teach folks to use the on released, particularly when you're using a real touchscreen, because you want, when the operator releases the finger from the screen, to execute. If you do the on pressed, what if he holds it down for 10 seconds? Then you're off 3 pages into it. So I'm going to go over here to the right side in Programs, and team, I'm just going to grab this program and drag it right there. That way, when I press this and release it, it should execute it. So we'll click OK. And let me zoom in here and fix this a little bit here. We'll make that border not quite so big. And we'll make this guy a little bigger here. All right, let's go ahead and save this. Let's download it to our screen. Just before I download, let me show you. Here's what the screen looks like right now. Oh, one more thing. Let me delete this here. Let me show you what I'm doing. So I want to show you the individual elements of that. So if I go over here to data tags on this side, like I said earlier, if you right click and toggle array, you can expand this to see all the elements. So I want to look at all of these to see what happens. So I'm going to click on the top one, hold my shift button down, click on the bottom, highlight, and drag all of those guys out here like this. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this whole thing and make it a little bigger like this. And then I want to make the font bigger, so I'm going to click on the first guy, boom, 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 there. And I might make, yeah, that's good enough. And then I'm going to highlight all the rest of these guys like that. This is a little trick, trying to highlight all the rest. Once I got all of them highlighted, I'll right click and I'll say, you know what, copy from, copy all formatting. Notice the trailing X, it's asking who you want to copy from. This guy right here, boom, made all the font bigger. All right, let's go ahead and save this and download it. Let's see what happens here. Boom. Okay, let's go to the web browser. All right, so I got no string in here right now. Let's put in this case, let's put in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for instance. Hit enter. All right, nothing has happened here because I haven't actually called my program. So let's manually try it. I'm going to click here, 1, 2, 3, boom. There you go. See those numbers? You might ask yourself, what are those numbers? Well, those are the ASCII equivalents of these characters. If you Google ASCII table, you'll find those. What if I put in here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hit enter, press this button again, boom, and there's the ASCII table for those numbers, okay? These are individual elements of each one of these going across, all right? So that is manually doing this, but I really want this thing to kind of automatically do this. I was trying to do it whenever this changed. I couldn't figure out how to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is over here in display pages, I'm going to click on the word pages on top, and I'm just going to manually make that happen all the time. Well, I should say manually, automatically happen on tick. I'm going to call that program once a second. So I'm going to go here to Programs, grab this same button, put it right here, like that, save this and download it, and now it should be doing that automatically every time I change those values. So there it is there. Put in A, B, C, D, E, F. Oops, that's not an E, that's an R. There we go. There they are. And of course, if I put in the capital A, B, C, D, E, F, G, hit enter, there they are. Now, I'm going to take this one step further because the real application here is they want to take those characters and send them over to an Allen Bradley PLC. So let's take, now that we got this working here, what are we going to do there? Well, if we go over here to Communications, and I already kind of set this up, I've got Allen Bradley L5K Plus driver just by hitting the pick button. There's all these drivers in here, but I'm using this one for this example. And then if I click on, I renamed it from PLC1 to AB PLC. I have a L5K file that I've imported that has a bunch of tags in it, so forth. But I'm going to down here, I'm going to add a gateway block. So if I add a gateway block, now I get a block underneath that PLC. I'm going to click on this block, and I want to map this to the string values that are in that PLC. So if I hit the pick button here, it pulls up the L5K, and in this simple one I got from somebody, I have a string sample in here, and here is the data one that was in there. Now you'll see here that this guy has set up 82 elements in here. No big deal. We're only going to use 16, but it says 82 here. So I'll click the OK button. Now that block is mapped to that, but I'm going to change the block size from 0 to 16. All of a sudden now, I have here all 16 elements. And this is the part that you got to do a little bit of manual work, but I'm going to click on the first element. You'll see Crimson changes. I'm going to click data tags here. Here's my individual elements. I want to put those into these fields. So the easiest way I find to do this, team, is to simply double click. Maybe not, double click. There we go. Double click. Boom, boom, boom. Just go right down the list here. Oops. And you got to kind of pay attention because sometimes you can also manually drag over like this if you want to. If you want to get a workout, look at that. I'm working on my abs. It's like 6-minute abs right there. So you can also do it that way, or you can, like I said, double click, whichever you want to do. Sometimes it's nice to get a little workout after lunch like that. See that? Man, I'm just working up a sweat here. You do want to pay attention though when you get done. Oops, so I just screwed up. See, I put 15 there. That's supposed to be 14. That's not going to work. All right, you just want to make sure that 0 here, all the way through looks good. That now should send it out. Oh, and also, we haven't tested, but we got this part here, so it automatically should happen. So I'm going to go back to here. I don't need this button anymore. I'm going to delete the button because now it should be calling that program on tick. So let me save it, download it, and let's see what happens here. Of course, I don't have the Allen Bradley PLC, but it shouldn't affect this program. All right. So if you look here, there it is. What if I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0? Boom. You'll see 1 second later it fills in. How about that? What about A, B, B, C, C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G? Like that. And you can see it all filled in perfectly. Anyway, that is just a quick example of how you can take a string tag from something, parse it into individual elements, and then, of course, send it over to some other device that needs individual elements. In this case, we're going to the Allen Bradley PLCs, or Allen Bradley PLC here. One other thing you could do here on the block, I'm always kind of picky about this, but you can say send string to AB, just to help the next guy out. I like the names. So anyway, that way the next guy comes along this database, he might say, what does block one do? Oh, this is sending, and that's what it does. Anyway, that's just a quick example, team, of how you can go parse out a string into individual elements. If you got any questions or you want to copy this database, don't be afraid to give me a call or send me an email. Again, the programs are pretty simple. Character to ASCII individually does each one, and then the parse my string will fill in my individual arrays with those elements. Pretty sweet. Hey, thanks a lot, team. Have yourself a great day. See you later.